and just being a prime athlete just feels really great. And I know this is 10 times your arena. This is your fitness times 10. Uh, is that not right?
What'd you say? I missed that part. There's 10 what?
That your area of expertise for a while was fitness and still probably
Yes.
is, right?
Yeah, well, it's still, like I said, I'm 80-20 on all the major areas and I'm only 100% on one. But in terms of fitness, it was for a stage of my life, it was 100%. And now it's an 80-20. But definitely it's still a huge area of focus that I love to have. And yeah, so I was a personal trainer, of course, in earlier on in my years. So um,
That's
yeah.
awesome. That's amazing. So you already know what I'm starting to experience.
Yeah, 100%, and I can see it in you now. And also one thing I've observed is once you'd moved around a bit, you didn't have the same energy and input you could to do personal development as much or focus on your passion ignite. And so you had a lot of energy in setting yourself up and getting established. But I'm noticing increasingly as you get more and more of a secure base, you're more and more fruits coming out for yourself and also for Ignite. And I'm seeing this momentum happen. And I just want to note that from the side, that's what I've observed. You've spent a couple of months preparing, COVID's hit, and you've been relocating, but now I really feel like you're finding your feet again, the roots are going down and fruit's starting to come.
That's exactly right. And it's Ignite principles at play.
100%.
So guys, what did you want to talk about? Do you want to do a couple little business updates first and then maybe see if we still have time for a topic or two or 15, 20 minutes of podcast?
Yeah, no, so it's just clarifying that, yeah, I guess we were focusing on podcasts today, wasn't it? And getting that in the right order. And then obviously later in the week, we're doing the preparation for your next session.
Exactly. That session should be on with that individual. His name's Andy on Friday. He should be paying me on Thursday. And if he reschedules, obviously, which I anticipate because we get a paper check date that Thursday, he'll probably pay me on Friday and hopefully it works out good and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So he will definitely speed up the other gentleman named Caesar, who's my coworker who desperately needs coaching. He's just getting himself to the point where he's a young kid, 20 years old, who talks 10 times more than he does. His action maybe is like 1 on the scale of 1 to 10. I feel like to be an Ignite student, you have to be at least, I don't know, I think you said they have to be on, they have to be really motivated, right? Or have you found people?
Yeah, to be an Ignite student, yeah, one of the key categories is they've got to be committed, they've got to be in a position to want to change and be open to learning.
Exactly. And you've worked with students that were just kind of terrible to work with, and then others that are a joy to be around. So,
absolutely. Well, it shaped in my early years what I was willing to put up with and what I wasn't. And so one of the things I do is at the start, you create that win-win. So there's expectation that you'll give 100% if they give 100%. And this is the win-win agreement from the start. And if you can begin with the way you want it to continue, then, that's the best results I've got with my students.
Are you still mainly focusing on course building, or what are some current projects you're working on?
Yeah, so the current project, I'm revamping the whole subconscious course to make it, it's really grown to now far beyond the scope of just the basic aspect of the subconscious. It's gone into the meta levels. So I'm working on all that mega system, meta system, and doing all the different levels within that. So getting the core curriculum within that. Then also really, I'm revamping all my levels to make it ultra better to understand about values, how to tap into the subconscious. And then what I'm doing is I'm literally putting this entire toolkit together. So imagine all the toolkits from NLP, NAC, cognitive behavioral therapy, visualization. Imagine all of those, goal setting, circle control. Imagine having all the things that you need inside one toolbox, and you can just choose at whatever level you need the transformation in, and you'll become an expert of yourself and other people of exactly what layer you need to create the change, whether it's at a belief level, value level, identity level, spirit level, or behavioral level. you'll know exactly what it is you need to do. So it's like a car, you become an expert mechanic of your own body, your own being. And so that's the project I'm working on at the moment.
That's incredible, guys. It makes me kind of wonder is, and it kind of saw a lag there, so that's why I paused, and I'll edit this part out. But makes me wonder, when someone is looking for a result, isn't it almost always to the deepest levels of your subconscious where the answers will be? That's where for me to make the change for have the most lasting impact.
Well, that's a really interesting point. Not always, and I'll explain how that works. Sometimes it's knowing where the blockage is happening up the chain. So let's just say you could now get your identity sorted, and let's say you've revamped your identity from being a careless person or I am unloved to I am lovable. Then you've now got the beliefs that people can love me, I can love other people. But then you go up and you've still got a strategy that's outdated that you're still doing by habit. So for example, your old thought pattern might be, oh, I better really impress this person. This person might not like me. And then you've got an old toolbox, which might be, trying to flatter someone, right? And it's just an old habit you fall into. At that stage, it's not a matter of changing the subconscious. It's a matter of identifying the behavior you need to change. And it is true, often behavior can be automatically transformed by changing it, but not always. And that's why it's important to have the complete toolbook to know that sometimes you don't need to go all the way into subconscious to change things, like the 7 habits. Sometimes you can just go and be proactive. You can plan ahead and plan some goals, and that's all you need to do for certain aspects of your life. So it's just having the awareness and knowing what to select at what moment of your life, and not all the time having to go even to the subconscious.
That's a really good point. And that makes a lot of sense. It's kind of what it makes me think of. You can do something as simply as, instead of looking down while walking outside across the street, you're looking up across the horizon. It's something as simple as beginning to smile more throughout the day. It's as simple as looking at people in the eye. Those are very basic beginner and surface layer, but they're impacting, kind of like they have a little root stemming all the way down that.
100%, because we have something called a default mood. And so learning how to change your mindset. So for example, stopping every hour and thinking of one thing you've been grateful for in the last hour, that's a great way to shift the default mood, but it's something that you would do at the thought or behavioral level, not something you have to slug away at the subconscious level, if that makes sense. Yeah. But that'll make a profound shift on your entire day.
Yeah, exactly. That's very, I truly feel like that mechanic looking at the engine from the top of where the caps are to the bottom. I'm a terrible mechanic though. And I'm the guy that has to call somebody for sure and pay the person. There's always just those two guys.
Yeah.
One that knows and one that doesn't know and gets a guy who knows.
But 100%.
Hey, so man, that is absolutely incredible information there too. What are some of the things that you've been learning about elsewhere? What are some of the things that you want to talk about today?
Well, let's just think. What number podcast? What topic were we up to today for our podcast?
Hey, and if you're cool with it too, I think everything that we've talked thus far, and even us talking about the podcast, is a whole episode in itself.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
okay. We're just with that too, right?
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's roll it all together. So I'm cool with that. But I was just thinking in terms of following what we had planned originally to give us something to go on, because we can go in any direction. We really can. But I knew we'd done some thinking about what could be really good for the market. What did we have down for this number 3?
Yep. Let me pull out my notebook. So I'm glad I wrote this down. I'm looking to the honest truth is, for maybe a number of reasons, the month of and it's because since I'm in a performance-based business of car sales, I had a great July and a third of great numbers-wise, 1/3 September. So that to me is unacceptable. That to me is a temporary defeat. So I'm extremely motivated by that negative outcome to go back to the basics. I've gotten success before in my life and I know what it takes. So I'm taking note taking a lot more serious, and I'm taking reading sales books a lot more serious. And Grant Cardone's Sell or Be Sold, man, that's I've never heard it before. It's incredible. I absolutely love it. And sales is obviously a big thing. And right now with this podcast, we're not sales needs an explanation because all we're doing is just persuading, influencing, advocating, communicating, and influencing our ideas. And that's essentially what sales is too. And people can't be an Ignite student if they don't know who we are, or if our marketing efforts, or if our reach, right? And that's kind of, I think the shift that we made, right? You were, a year ago when we met you, you suppressed your business for a little while, right?
What? Sorry,
You suppressed your business for a little while. You were traveling a whole bunch.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I sort of just had it in idle mode. I wasn't really focusing on it. I mean, I was doing a lot of background research and stuff, but I wasn't proactively doing a lot of sessions. It was just, it was more other priorities I were taking in life, and it was kind of in the background. But, since, connecting with you guys, I realized, right, I've had enough of that season. I've had a big season to take care of my interests. And now my priority really shifted to really putting forward Ignite on the front burner and off the back burner, and really going full throttle and loving it,
That's amazing. Obviously, we've been witnesses of that. It was so incredible when we met you in Bali, Indonesia. If you guys don't know where that is, look at it on the map. For New Zealand, I follow a couple of YouTubers that are from New Zealand, and in Australia and New Zealand, it's common to travel to Asia like it's common for us to travel to Mexico.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So is it kind of the normal thing back there for people to have gone cool places? Like, where do people travel to around your area?
Well, yeah, I mean, for a Kiwi, often before they settle down and whatever, they'll try and do Europe, or they'll try and do the UK, like 12 hours difference. London, they'll try and do their big OE. But if you're looking for a local holiday over to Australia, or definitely Southeast Asia, that'll be some go-tos. Why? Because it's close, it's cheap, and it's very interesting. And there's some beautiful beaches, beautiful weather, amazing difference of lifestyle. So it's only a heartbeat away. So I guess, if you're looking from a New Zealand, Australia perspective, that's kind of where the focus is.
That's crazy. It's totally different, obviously, being from the States. And how many Kiwis travel to America? Have you been to America?
I've been to America, yeah. So I've been to LA, San Diego. I've been to Venice Beach, and then to New York, and also Miami. Went to the Big Apple last year. So yeah, I got some good time in the States. Really enjoyed my time there, actually. Very cool place.
Cool.
But so diverse. I mean, it's hard to say it's one cool place because it's like 51 different exotic, interesting states that are almost like different countries, pretty much. So yeah, it's very interesting place.
Wow, that's cool. I know there's endless amounts of topics. I haven't brought it up to you, but out of inspiration, I been 3 or 4 months removed from traveling, coming back from Hawaii, and for everybody, they're not traveling like they want to. But I was able to talk to a customer about traveling, and I hadn't felt such a passionate spark like that I'm like, you know what? I bought personally a How to Travel the World book, being a digital nomad. I had bought a book like that. I had watched 50, 60, 70 YouTube videos, maybe 100 different YouTube videos just about Bali, and even more about other countries too. And I amassed such a specialized knowledge that I'm like, you know what? I need to write a book too. So I've been very consistent every day, and it feels incredible. I'm gonna for sure have this book published this year, and I know you just said it to Violet earlier before we started talking that we got to plan a trip next year, and I totally agree.
Yeah.
What do you think about travel? Where are you wanting to go to next?
Yeah. So next up, I mean, like I said with you guys, one of the longer term plans with Ignite is to have our retreat in Bali, and have some of our closest members there, but also open up to some general as well, and have kind of like a restorative, rejuvenative, inspirational week of total therapy for the body, for the mind, for the spirit, where we get to realign our goals, set our goals, and inspire each other with the stories that have happened, applying the Ignite principles. So definitely like Bali's on the horizon, longer term. Where else? I mean, countries I haven't been to, like Japan. I got to go to China last year, which is very interesting. I haven't gone to Russia, Mongolia, and some places through Germany. So there's some places that I've deliberately left off the list that I could have gone to, but I kind of thought, well, in the future, when I'd like to share that with a special someone, I want some of these places that I haven't been to be a first-hand experience with them. So like even India, I've heard that's just like nowhere else on earth. And it's a place that I would love to have that exotic experience there. But, to share those places with someone significant that you can both encounter it for the first time together, that'll be pretty special. So those are some places I've got on my mind. Cuba as well. Jamaica.
We share, Cuba and India, and a lot of the other ones that you mentioned too are some that I really are on my list. My mom's boyfriend's Cuban, and we've already talked about next year going to Cuba. So you got to find that special someone soon.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Well, Bali, look, I don't need to find someone special for Bali, so we'll just go to Bali. We'll do it there. But yeah, definitely these other ones. I'm keen to rendezvous with you guys, and it'd be amazing.
Yeah, you can revisit a lot of the ones that you've been to. Guys, I'm glad we're talking about it because I want something that big to already start saving up for a specific amount, or picking kind of some dates and then making that happen. Maybe in the next month or two or so, we actually conference call or Zoom once a month for everybody that's interested, an email list, a promotional YouTube videos. Like as this starts picking up momentum, that could be a whole set of content and an overarching theme that everything kind of gets promoted to, and that's just gonna be a lot of fun.
100%. I'm thinking, like even in the first conference, special, we could have like 10 to 20 people, and then beyond that, it could even grow to 100 people. The size is not important, but the connection is where it's at. So if we've got a team that we're connected to, like as the podcast grows, it's going to attract people of like mind and like heart. And like I say, this is not about us needing people to join it. It's us inviting people of a similar heart that resonate with the Ignite vision and mission to be a part of it, and just to feel the heartbeat. And that's what we're advocating for here.
I think, sorry, I got a little distracted, but today I just decided that it's just a big dream idea, get my yoga certification in India. Like that hopefully doesn't sound cheesy or cliche, but I think that'd be pretty awesome. And
definitely. I mean, you've got to look at the upside of that and the authentic experience you'll have there. I mean, there's just so much more to that, isn't there? So stuff that I'm exploring fitness wise, I just get excited about fitness and health, and I love feeling my best, So I'm always using myself as a guinea pig, and I'm a self-experimenter. So I've tried everything at the moment, like from cold treatment. So I'm studying Wim Hof breathing techniques, cold exposure. So I've even got, this will be good. This is one of the latest tools that we've got. This is called an ice vest. And this mimics basically being in a shower. So obviously you'd have your top off. When you do that, you put that on. And these are like ice packs. And what that does is it cools down your whole system so that you literally, and what it's designed to do is it's designed to increase your brown fat. It's called your BAT. And what brown fat does is at rest, it burns up your white fat without even trying, right? So it has the potential to boost up your metabolism by 30%. So it could go up needing 2,000 calories at rest to 3,000 calories for an average man. To give you an idea, those in Antarctica can burn up to 6,000 to 12,000 calories a day just because of the cold exposure, because it's having such an impact on their body. So if you think about it, our body always seeks homeostasis. And so what happens is when it's in a cold environment, the internal regulation has to upcharge itself to burn more calories just to keep at a homeostatic level. And same as with hot yoga, the idea is when your body's hot, its internal regulation has to cool itself down so you sweat a lot. Well, it's the principle of burning more calories at rest. You don't have to try and burn more calories. So it's just one of the tools. But, yeah, so I'm looking at the hormonal health. I'm looking at, strength training, power metrics, explosive training. So I, without going too far into it, because we're not doing the health session or the fitness one, but basically I split up yin and yang days. So I'll do yin being the feminine energy and yang being the masculine energy. And what the idea is that one day I'll be doing quite masculine, explosive type strength power movements, which keep my muscle mass strong. And the other day, I'll be really looking at recovering the body, gentle, nurturing exercises that are going to rejuvenate the muscles, rejuvenate the joints themselves, feeling great in a different way. So a lot of flexibility, a lot of Pilates, a lot of yoga, that type of thing. And when you got that balance, you start to feel a real sense of well-being because you're getting both types of energies in your body and you're balancing it out. So those are some of the things that I'll do. But we've got a whole raft of stuff that we can go down on the physical if we want to go down that track.
That's incredible. I'm really glad I asked because I just learned something today. And but yes, just keep going, guys. The more you say, the better. Subconscious.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's rip into the subconscious. Yeah. For those who don't know, a massive area of transformation is the subconscious. And I didn't really understand subconscious filters in that until later in my career to the level that I know it now. But I was kind of hung up on, I guess what I was introduced early on was the 7 habits, which is amazing in and of itself. But a lot of it doesn't really deal with the subconscious and how to get true transformation. But you can get amazing transformation at a behavioral level with the 7 habits. And it is amazing, timeless universal principles. But what we're looking at here is really the micro system. We touched on the first session, all the different systems, meso system, meta system, macro, mega, massive, etc. This is touching on the micro system, which is just as profound as the massive system. Because of this massive system, you've got all those different levels. The micro goes inwards deeply. So we want to sort of unpack how that goes. So the end in mind here is to get the entire overview of the microsystem and understand how it operates from a holistic point of view. Clear examples of how an individual develops disempowering beliefs about life. Now, what I'd love for you, Antonio, you're so good at this, is you just stop me and pick apart anything that you don't get or you think the public might not get or anything that's interesting or captivating. And we're going to explore in detail any one because we've got no we don't have to go anywhere. We just go wherever the interest is. But, to unpack that, you've basically got 4 layers here. And what most people see is they hack at this exterior layer. And most people only see, well, they're dealing with the unintended consequences, or they're trying to deal specifically with the results. And then sometimes the majority of people just deal with the behavior. Now, the further exterior you get, the more likely you are to engage in kind of manipulation, domination. And as you get down here, you're more likely to engage in criminal activity. The more you try and control other people in the exterior and everything that you're trying to do to meet your own inner needs without knowing them, what happens is you're more likely to be more criminalistic in your methods. Why is that? Because if you haven't learned the techniques of how to meet your own needs or control what you can to get what you want, you tend to become externally focused. You believe that the only way to get what you want is to cheat the system. So lie, cheat, steal. So for example, here you might get, taking drugs, cheating the system, lying about your job to get more money, robbing a bank, What's that do? You get something that's not yours, and you're trying to work against unintended consequences, right? It's never long-term thinking, it's short-term thinking, right? That's at the most basic level of human change. All these results, some people just hack at the results, which would be like, cheating in a test, or changing the test score, or changing a resume to make it look better. So you're trying to mess with the level of results you've got in life to make it meet a social expectation, okay? It all has to do with not understanding principles and how to live by them. Okay. Fine. Luckily for us in society, most people don't live there, but there are a large number of people that do live there, and they live there quite regularly. But those are the people that long term it doesn't work out. Eventually they'll have a body failure because they've abused their body with drugs, or eventually they will go to prison, or eventually something will implode in their face, right? So at that level, it's never going to be sustainable. It might look good on the surface for a while, but eventually it will come back to bite. So most people are probably in this category where they just focus on behavior. They're focused on what they can do to achieve a result. Okay. Now this can be a very powerful, so this is where personality gets formed. This is where strengths get formed. This is where you look on the surface and you go, wow, dude, just try and become better at that and you'll get this result. Now, at the moment, I want to hear from you, Antonio. Can you relate to what we've talked about so far?
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to do that right now too. Change some of my behaviors to get some different results. And fortunately, I know not as much as you, of course. I have a lot more to learn. But I know that I have an alignment in a lot of what my identity is, what my beliefs are. And I'm not just going to be surface layer in my behaviors. I know how to align the emotions and the beliefs, the thought patterns. So, I'm processing it through my real life right now as you're speaking.
That's great. And that's what it should all be about. The whole system's designed to plug in anything that you're dealing with in life and just see a real life example. But beyond that, shouldn't just look good. It shouldn't just look logical. You should be able to really use the system and apply something directly and practically and get a life change. And just it's like learning how to ride a bike. It might not feel natural at first, but as you try and use the technique, after a while, you go, well, this technique's for me, or I've got to try a new one. But they're all based on principles. But what we're looking at here is, it's just your behavior that you change. And most people go, well, this hasn't worked in my sales technique, therefore I've got to change this behavior. Or this hasn't worked in my relationship, therefore I need to change it to this style. And so often it's set up by really focusing on the external. But as we go down deeper, like I say, the deeper you go, the more effortless the change, but the perhaps more difficult to diagnose the change because it's more unseen. So the deeper you go, the more unseen it is. So now we go into the conscious realm. That's the exterior realm, which is very external. Then you go to the unseen realm to change, which is your emotional state and your talking and thinking. Now, or self-talk, and they have a symbiotic relationship. So one influences the other and the other influences the other in a cybernetic loop. Right? So as you feel crap, you begin to speak like that. And as you speak like that, you begin to feel like that. But you could interrupt that system by changing your physiology, which is changing how you feel. And then you would start to think new thoughts. Or you could change how you feel through saying a new set of thoughts or asking a new set of questions, which would then get you to redirect your mind. And then ultimately you would have a different set of feelings. Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
Yeah, so that's a really powerful one to understand change in. But what we're going to understand is the impact of that will create effortless change up here. So rather than just trying to focus on the behavior and going, right, I'm going to try and do better. I'm going to try this sales technique. I'm going to try this position and exercise. I'm going to try and do this. And it's very technique driven. Instead of doing that, when you just focus on this, what happens is the change here starts to become far more effortless because you're feeling and thinking differently. So imagine just trying to change behavior, but your emotional state is angry or depressed, but you're trying to change a technique. What's going to happen to you long-term changing that technique if you're doing it in a depressed or an angry or frustrated state?
And it's way worse.
Yeah. you're still going to be the same person, just trying to change the exterior, right?
Exactly.
So when we learn how to change the mindset, what you're saying to yourself, your set of questions you're asking. So your mindset goes from, why do I never get any success? Or why is life so hard? And you start asking, this is your default question. Why am I so lucky? Or what am I grateful for today? What just good happened in my life? Well, guess what? Your mind will start, it has something called your RAS, which is called your reticular activating system. And what that is it's screening out. Have you ever bought a car or bought a t-shirt or bought anything, and the next month, all you can see is that thing everywhere?
Exactly. Like I see the car that I drive, a Toyota. I see them everywhere.
Yeah. And it's like a month before that, you hardly ever saw them on the road. And now it's like, did everyone just follow me, or am I just seeing what was always there? But now my brain's looking for it. Well, it's like that. You've got the RAS and it gets triggered. And so what happens is if you change your default question to go, why can I never get what I want? Why is everything eluding me? To asking, oh, why am I so lucky? What am I grateful for? What's in my life? What am I excited about? Well, guess what? You'll start bringing about into your results effortlessly those things. It'll be your default narrative. Will start bringing into your world all those things without trying.
Yep.
And this is where the process of oneness can start. Oneness is being aligned with your mind and your heart so that the external matches what you want. A lack of oneness or duplicity is trying to focus on here to try and get happiness here. But if you get already connection here, then oneness becomes a lot more effortless out here.
That is also where you see people with religions or who have a good spiritual walk always tend to just be very happy people.
Absolutely. Like the more at one with yourself, the more aligned with yourself, the more integrated your shadow being is with yourself, the more likely you are to have peace, which is the foundation of happiness. Can you be happy without peace?
Can you be happy without peace? Probably not.
Exactly. So if something's bothering you or you're not peaceful, your chances of experiencing happiness regularly go down 100%, because you cannot have happiness on a foundation of rot, of guilt, of depression. It won't happen. So by integrating oneness with yourself, and a lot of people seek this, they go, oh, let me just get in a relationship and I'm going to be happy. But what they don't understand is that a relationship will give you happiness at one level, but if you're not ultimately integrated in yourself and you go to always look for that in the other person, eventually that relationship's going to suffer because of that. Again, you're seeking it from the outside without getting integration from the inside.
Yep.
And so here we go down another deep level. And so a lot of people will they become masters in psychology, positive psychology, masters in mindset. And that is an amazing level to get to. Don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying is if it's based on what you don't know about yourself or based on a warped paradigm of yourself, even if you become a master of your mind, you're still going to limit your ability to achieve your true potential.
I 100% agree with that.
Now, why is that? That's because it might be founded on a value system that's subconsciously set that you don't even know you're running away from something you're scared of because it's in your subconscious, because it had been based out of fear from childhood, but you haven't recognized it. So you might become a master with what you can control, but it's like the monkey riding the elephant. The monkey can become the best guy on the lookout, the best guy at collecting all the fruit from the trees as going on the elephant. But ultimately, if he doesn't know how to connect with the elephant and control the elephant, or have a connection where he can move with the elephant and make them work together, guess what? The elephant wants to go for peanuts, and the monkey wants to go to the banana trees. It don't matter how much the monkey wants to go there. The elephant's going to take over when it decides. So from here, we're looking at, this is like the elephant, and up here's the monkey. This is the monkey mind and the results. Here's the elephant. Right? The real powerful one's the elephant. It doesn't make all the decisions all the time because it lets the monkey go to and fro riding upon the elephant. But when it decides, when it's acting in fear or acting from its past, it will move without the monkey's permission. Right? So what we understand here is we delve into the subconscious. This is the layer now below, which very few people have access to. But now we get into what's really guiding someone. And that's their value system. So their values can be described as life priorities. Basically, there are a number of levels within this, which we can discuss in another podcast or another session. But basically, when we look at life values, we're really looking at things that you move towards. They're called life priorities. but you also got a set that you're moving away from, and they're actually more powerful in shaping your behavior than what you're moving towards.
Wow.
Now, they're related to what we call unbearable feelings. Why are they more powerful? Because as we understand the reptilian brain, which we unpacked in the first session, the reptilian brain is designed for you to survive. It's designed for you to make decisions based out of fear of the consequence. Therefore, if the primary reason for your existence, or the primary purpose of your brain for now, is to survive, you're not thinking of giving an awesome life. You're just thinking of getting from danger. So your default values become this: how can I be comfortable? How can I escape pain? How can I escape danger? What's convenient now? So what happens is, even if you want a life of success, you will settle for a life of comfort and convenience if you don't understand your subconscious values.
Whoa, I need a course on that one, Gus, for sure.
Well, that's the next session I'm going to do with you anyway, in preparation for your next client. But this session here profoundly changed my life when I was about 29, 30. It set up the next 10 years of my life. The reason for that was I really got in touch with why I was doing what I was doing. And I realized I was acting without me. I believed I was going for freedom. My number one value was actually security, and it was being driven out of fear. And I didn't realize that until I did this course, and I actually understood what was driving me. But what was amazing within this, it teaches you how you literally can reprioritize your subconscious based on what you decide. And like I said, after that, I became financially independent within 3 months of doing that course. That's what enabled me to become financially independent. But it came down from identifying my subconscious triggers.
That's one of my favorite lines that you say. I know it's not a line, it's real life, but that's powerful. And why don't they teach this at schools, Gus?
Well, you don't know what you don't know. So remember, the whole education system was set up based on the Industrial Revolution. The modern education system, which is slightly changing now, but basically it was based on creating good, consistent workers. So it was designed to make people reliable, responsible, turn up, do their job, go home, learn what they needed to know for the market at the time, which is now, we're living in a whole new age now. And so it wasn't designed to give you the best life. All this knowledge, what you're learning here, is designed to give you the best life. But they're not designed to give you the best life at school. They're just designed to make you a worker in the workforce, to keep the economy ticking around so everyone can survive. That's the premise it was based on.
We need to do a whole podcast on that.
Well, yeah, that's another whole topic, but that'll be a fascinating one to go into, which we can in time. Let me just keep moving on here so I can get to the heart of what we're talking about. So where do values get formed from? Well, what a lot of people don't understand is actually come from your beliefs, your meta beliefs about life. Because you just don't have a pool of random values. They actually come from a deeper pool of things, and that's actually your belief system. So for instance, if you believe life is hard and I can't learn anything I want when I want, well, guess what? That determines at a base level your values that you choose. Because if you believe that you're unable to learn anything you want or at your own pace, well, you've already decided that learning and life transformation is not going to be a top value for you. Okay, so your beliefs become, and then understanding the next one, which is your identity. A huge aspect of your beliefs come out of your meta identity. And these are the fundamental ones that come from your unconscious, that go into your subconscious, which are these. Could be, I am lovable, I am insignificant, I am unworthy. All of those are powerful, powerful phrases that people have said to themselves at a really young age and a deep level that set up their entire belief system without realizing it. And then just quickly, very few people once even understand the subconscious know how to get into the unconscious. And so right here, you've got pretty much what we looked at the first session, which is the entire mega set of systems that exist. These are called your references. All the references you've drawn from every element of life come through your 5 sensory gate: sight, smell, touch, taste, hearing, right? So they all come through there, and they all get stored deep, deep within you. You don't have access to them from your conscious mind directly. The reason is this: because if you were able to access them, any memory at will, you would go crazy because your mind's just not designed to have that much information access to it. So it's like a hard drive, but it's stored deep within your being. It's stored somewhere in your being. That's why when you're sleep, have you ever gone to sleep and you've had a dream of something that happened long ago or an interpretation of that event?
Yep.
Right? But it wasn't on your conscious mind. You completely forgotten that event happened, but then all of a sudden you're a dream. That means it's stored within you. You can still access it. You just don't know how. And that's in the unconscious mind. That's in the deep reservoirs. So when people go through a traumatic experience, often they can't remember it because it's a mechanism of the brain to survive. They just shut it out, but it stays with them and it alters their behavior and their identity without them realizing. So unless they go back and interpret and understand who they are a victim to actually live out of the fear of that traumatic event. At this level now, we get to the primordial level. And this is where the raw material level is. This is your predisposition. This is your predisposed DNA. So it's not like you'll come out of your womb definitely positive, definitely negative, right? Or pessimistic, optimistic. You'll come out with a predisposed personality that has the ability to go one way or the other, or a few different ways, based on your interpretation through your 5 senses of your environment. And what is the biggest determinant of personality and your strengths is actually your met or unmet needs and your interpretation of them based on your environment. So let's just say, oh, that person is so structured, or that person, they're so spontaneous, or you go, that person, they're so disciplined, right? Everyone just goes, they are just that way. What they don't understand is that one of their needs may not have been met. Like, let's just say, for example, someone had a huge need for certainty and security in life. And let's say they got taken away because they moved so many places when they were growing up. And as a mechanism or a survival kit, that person learned to be disciplined was the best way to give them reliability in life, to have the same thing every day, to hone one skill. And so on the outside, someone says, oh, they just are disciplined. They don't understand what drove it was an unmet need, and they hated the reverse of that unmet need, or that need, which was the reverse, was being uncertain, unstable. And so they overcompensated by being extremely disciplined to give them that security in life. And guess what? Their personality, their primordial level, which had the propensity to be disciplined, got supercharged because of an unmet need. Right?
Wow. That's amazing.
So you can see how this whole system fits beautifully together when you understand everything. We cannot separate personality from unmet needs. We cannot separate primordial energy from unmet needs and references. All of these things are really important when they link together to produce the final result we see on the exterior world.
In my own words, the need, for example, somebody who's very neat and orderly, organized, detail-oriented, I guess they might have a need for certainty, a strong need for certainty. And that's maybe one outlet that it manifests in results. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, so I would go a step further and say a detail-oriented person's got a need for certainty, but I would say the reverse is that the feeling of uncertainty, the feeling of being disorganized, the feeling of being uncertain would be the precursor and driver to be obsessive compulsive, or to be, to create that personality we see on the surface. And everyone tries to fix the symptom. If we fix the root cause of the unmet need, we often fix everything automatically.
That's if it got out of hand, because those are useful things, right?
Oh, 100%. I'm saying this in the extreme. So I'm saying all these can be strengths. They've got a balcony view and a basement view. So, but every strength can be tipped to be where it's unbearable or underdone, So nothing wrong with the strengths or the fruits that you see. It's just understanding, are you happy with what's driving them? And let's not try and change the strengths. Let's just get the unmet need met, fixed or understood, and your identity sorted. And then let's see where those strengths fall into line after that. Spirit, which is at the baseline of everything. And your spirit is what can override everything. And it is detached from everything, but yet it gets suppressed and locked away because of unmet needs. So that's just a precursor to that. But I do a whole course on spirituality, of how to tap into the thing that makes you the person that you want to be at an unleashed level of your inner being. That gets connected to your primordial level. So a lot of tribal roots are in here. Like, for example, disassociating with your inner being of your tribal roots, your historical roots. All of that is tied into your spirit. When your spirit's unleashed, you become proud of who you are, you own who you are, and your life can go to a whole new level. That's at the very base level. But at any one of these levels, you can get life change. So I've created this grid here as a way to understand it. And what I'm currently composing, the finished product, will be an entire toolkit of the human system, where you can decide and you'll become an expert mechanic of your own system. And eventually you can help your partner do this, or other people in your life you want to help. Basically, you can go right through this and you can decide whatever your thing that you're trying to achieve in life, or your priority that's not working for you, you literally can take it through this grid. And you can go, at what level am I getting a blockage? So am I getting a blockage in the results? Am I getting a blockage in the actions? Is it my thoughts? And we can see here, your thoughts influence your emotions influence your thoughts. Here's the dividing line of the subconscious, the unconscious. And you can just work your through, and you can find out it may not be something you need to deal with at the reference level. Maybe you just need to work on your emotions. Maybe you just need to work on your thoughts. But there'll be an entire, all the tools that I've ever come across that have been profoundly impactful, not only for my life, but the researched ones as well, I will be putting into the system. And there'll be certain go-to techniques. You can just try a surface technique of any of them to try it and taste it and test it to see if it's for you. And if that technique is for you, then you've added to your repertoire of what works for you. Then you can drill down deeper on that particular philosophy and unearth all those techniques and use them when you need to create life change.
Wow, that looks amazing right there.
So now I thought I'd open up to you. I know there's a lot. I've just unpacked the whole system to you, but I want to open up to you. Now I've done a lot of talking. I know it's late over there, but anything before we go in the last 5 minutes that you'd like to touch on, talk about, go into a bit more.
Man, if you enjoyed this session, guys, please like, comment, and subscribe. We will reply thoughtfully to you. Check out the links in the description below. And guys, I could ask questions, and as you know, I can just go off on topics, but it's a lot to chew on there, and we should make worksheets so we can fill, these blank boxes in there or something like that.
Yeah, 100%. So like for each of them, there's a note on each of them of specific techniques, like you've got CBT, visualizations, coaches, reassurances, redefining moments. That's just for identity. So that's just an example of the list, the entire set of tools I'm creating for each area of life change. So yeah.
That's awesome, guys. Wow. And you have many, many more slides out there too, and a lot of topics, but what did you want to talk about next time on our next session?
Well, next session, I was thinking, would it be great so a lot of this might seem theory for some people because they don't see how this practically is going to help them, but I would love to, we're thinking about next on the list, circle control. So what I'd love to do is get a go-to thing that for me in my youth that I use, that I've helped hundreds of people with now, the circle control, and it's profoundly impacted their life, and give people tools and techniques of how to use that principle through some very specific techniques of how they can apply it this day or tomorrow to get immediate change of their mind and of their actions and of their day. I think it'd be great to delve into specific techniques of how we can use the system.
What do you want to call this podcast session? Just subconscious?
Yeah, delving into the human microsystem, maybe, the subconscious.
Awesome. I'm out of words. Do you have anything else you'd like to close off with?
Well, I just want to say, it's just like always, pleasure meeting with you. Loved going into detail on this. I am just excited to see the reach that this is going to have. And I know, I'm getting blown away. This is all my learning put together in one. And I'm getting blown away by this because so many of these individualized sessions have changed my life. But now seeing them holistically, like I'm changing day by day by this. So if I know I am, it's profoundly impacting me. I'm only hoping that it can do the same for other people. So I was just excited to share this with you and to see your response. And then hopefully people out there that are vibing with this can resonate with it and they can apply it.
Very important topics that you covered. Those words sometimes get thrown around when you hear championship teams who have an identity, or when you hear people's behaviors and still not getting results, and you hear the gurus like Tony Robbins and Jim Rohn talk about what you just talked about. but I never knew what they really meant till today.
Wow. And what was it that made you click?
The descriptive words that you would use, I would have to read them off to remember them, but they felt deeper as we went deeper into the mind. They felt like, wow, okay, I can see how that's more profound than just changing my practices, my behaviors.
Wow. You really saw the connection, and you really saw how they were all connected and they all influence each other.
Yeah, they truly are pieces to a puzzle, and they have their own definitions, and we never ever get talked about. No conversations, nothing on TV ever talks about these things.
Yeah. Well, I'm just blown away. I mean, I'm so excited that you're starting to see that, because there's just so much depth to what we've discussed today, and we could honestly get left in lifetimes in each of them, and there's so much to unpack. But at least I wanted to give them a best shot at giving an overview, and then we can go as deep as we like at any level we want from here, because we've got the map, the human map of how it all kind of works together. My thoughts are, number one, you've got to see it to know what you're working with. At least we can see the whole system. Number two, you've got to learn how to play with it. And number three, you've got to learn how to get mastery and appropriately know how to become that mechanic or that surgeon when you need to. And I think those are the skills that I'm wanting to create a system that people can develop and become better.
Just a question, just because it was on my mind, and I'm having a lot of fun and excitement doing it. Have you thought about writing a book? If so, what kinds? Like, I would love to read a book by you.
Yeah, definitely. Because I'm producing courses, it's pretty much synonymous with writing a book, I'm finding. To really get my thoughts out, I need to almost write them word for word. And so that's almost by default forcing me to write a book. So yeah, I guess you could say I'm writing one in the form of coursework.
But it made perfect sense that you've been writing a book.
Yeah, exactly. So it's inevitable. It's just the overflow of trying to communicate. It's going to be in thought form, and eventually I'm like, well, why not just write a book? I'm doing so much work anyway. I might as well put it into a book.
All you're gonna have to do in the end is just bind your slides, all of them together.
Pretty much, and that'll be the complete book.
It'll be as massive as the Tony Robbins ones.
Yeah, pretty much a life's work checked together. What a great session.
Always, Gus. It was awesome. Proud to be an Ignite student, and I'll see you next time.
Awesome, will do. I will see you on your Thursday and my Friday.
Perfect. See you later, Gus.
Adios.
See you.